Josh Gates is finally telling what really happened in Season 7 of Expedition X. The cameras were on when the crew started their night in what seemed like a normal investigation. But in just a few hours, lights went out, radios died, and the team got rushed out on direct orders. That episode never aired the way they filmed it. Today, for the first time, Josh is sharing what made them stop production. Before we get into it, hit subscribe so you don't miss the truth. Season 7 of Expedition X was meant to be the biggest season yet. Ratings were super high, and the production team got permission to check out a place that had been turned down before because of safety worries. According to notes from inside planning that crew members talked about later, this spot was picked because it was the most extreme place the show had ever gone to. The area was far away, full of thick trees, and miles from any real road. They had to bring gear in with off-road trucks, and then carry it the last part by hand. Even before they turned the cameras on, crew people said electronics acted weird, like brand new batteries dying for no reason. As the sun went down, Josh Gates showed up to watch the start of filming himself. That showed this was way more than a regular episode. The plan looked simple on paper. Set up base camp, take readings of the air and ground, watch areas where stuff might happen, and do tests all night. But only an hour into filming, the air readings went crazy. The temperature dropped a bunch in just minutes. Even though the weather didn't change, digital tools showed big spikes that looked like bursts of energy. The crew felt vibrations in the ground with no sound. Josh stopped filming for a bit and told everyone to stay quiet while he stared at the horizon. He said later the air felt full of electricity and that the team wasn't watching anymore. They were being watched. That was the first clue. Something was really wrong. The place they chose for Season 7 wasn't just far away. It was off-limits. Records show that back in the early 1990s, the land around it got closed for a while after several people went missing and were never found. Official papers called them lost hikers, but people who live nearby say the missing ones were part of a secret geology survey team. According to old stories, searchers found their gear stacked neatly by some rocks, but their GPS signals kept coming from miles away. No footprints, no fight signs, and no real answer. Before they started filming, Josh met a local historian who told him not to shoot after dark. The historian talked about an old building deep in the woods that used to be a weather station. It got shut down because the workers refused to stay. They said their tools only showed pressure changes when nobody was there. When someone walked in, everything went quiet. Old notes from other investigation teams mentioned whisper corridors, narrow paths where soft voices repeated the same words. But every person who heard it thought the words were different. Even with those warnings, they kept going and set base camp right by the old station's foundation. Within half an hour of setting up, a tech heard what sounded like metal scraping under the ground. Right after, his compass started spinning non-stop. Josh wrote about it in his notes, calling it the first clear sign the place had been waiting. That night they found out what for. As night came, the forest got super quiet in a strange way. Usually, Expedition X teams pick up bugs, far-off birds, and moving branches at night. But this time the mics caught nothing. No wind, no animal sounds, not even leaves moving. The sound guy wrote later it was like the whole place let out a breath and then stopped breathing. The silence became the first weird thing they ordered that night. Around 9:15 p.m., Josh told the team to start thermal scans around the edges. They used special cameras to look for warm shapes like animals or people sneaking in. Instead, the cameras showed moving spots that were colder than the air around them. Fast, shapeless zones that appeared and disappeared. One guy said he saw a tall, vertical shape, almost 9 feet high, pass between trees. But when they replayed it, the shape was gone. He asked to fix the camera. It was working fine. Around 9:30, the main investigator went to Josh, worried. She said she felt sudden pressure in her chest like being way up high. 2 other people felt the same thing seconds later. They checked radios, but some headsets got static even when people were close. Josh stayed calm, asked for quiet, and told everyone not to move or talk. For almost 20 seconds, they all stood still. In the raw video, you can hear what lots of people think is a soft breath, and then one low word right behind a camera. The audio was hard to make out. Some think it said, "Watch." Others think, "Leave." One helper said it sounded like her own name, even though she was far away with no mic near her. Josh didn't react right away, but after they played it back, he said quietly, "We are not alone out here. Keep going, but stay together." That order changed everything from just investigating to trying to stay safe. By 10:15, the strange quiet in the forest felt scarier than any loud threat. Josh told the crew to move toward a thick wooded ridge where they had seen energy spikes earlier in the day. Before they moved, the sound guy played the earlier whisper again. This time he pulled out low sounds humans can't normally hear. When he made it louder and slower, the whisper turned into broken words. A few crew stepped back when they heard it. It sounded like 5 sounds that meant, "You should not stay." Even though people heard it a little differently, everyone agreed whatever said it really meant it. Things got tense fast. St. Josh said they had to stay calm and check facts, not make drama. But rules said they had to get into a tight group. Cameras went to full mode, motion sensors got placed in a circle around them, and everyone had to keep at least one other person in sight all the time. At 10:30, the first big weird thing happened, without anyone touching anything. A metal case sitting flat on the ground near a tree slid almost 3 feet by itself. The ground was flat. No slope, no shake, no reason for it to move. 2 cameras were looking right at it. One caught the slide. The other one, from a side angle, lost focus for a second like a wave of distortion moved out from the middle of the clearing. Seconds later, another thing happened. A thermal camera on a tripod turned by itself and pointed straight into the dark. Crew said the lens stayed locked on one spot for almost 5 seconds before a big heat jump showed up. The heat looked like a person-sized thing standing still in the coldest part of the clearing. But no one could see anything there. Josh walked to the screen and asked quietly if any buildings, roads, or power lines were close enough to mess things up. The closest way in was over 2 miles away. No shelters, no cars on the road. As the heat signal blinked and disappeared, Josh told the producer, "If whatever that is can move gear, we need to rethink how close we stay." Right after, they stopped moving toward the ridge. After they decided not to go to the ridge, Josh quickly met with the main producer, the safety person, and the tech leads. Under red lights, so they could still see at night. Filming paused for a minute so they could think clearly. Josh said the goal changed from getting more proof deeper in to figuring out if the danger was just reacting or actually thinking. He suggested a safe test. Instead of going farther, they would try small interactions from where they were to see how it answered. At 11:10, cameras started again. The team put out simple things at even spots around the clearing edge: plastic water bottles, little flags, and a small battery lantern. They picked those because they were easy to watch, and they used a trick from cave studies in Australia where strange things reacted when patterns changed. The lantern blinked slow every 5 seconds, while sensors watched anything coming within 10 yards. Josh stood by the lantern with 2 crew people while saying out loud what they were doing for the record. He spoke straight to the dark, saying clearly they would stay at the edge and inviting whatever was there to touch the light. His voice stayed even and calm, following the show's rules for not pushing too hard. For almost 3 minutes, nothing happened. They waited in total quiet, only hearing the lantern blink. Then sensors went off, with no one visible. 2 bottles fell at the same time. One hit hard enough to bounce and land almost 6 feet away. The lantern dimmed fast, then got super bright, way past normal. A camera beeped with a warning that something unknown was close. Audio gear picked up low sound waves like big pressure changes. The wave hit so hard 2 team members stumbled. One said his ears hurt and he felt dizzy. The lantern stopped blinking and stayed on solid, pointing right at their tables. Josh quickly told everyone to back up toward the vehicles. As they moved back, Osho said, more stuff happened. A sudden wind cut through the clearing, even though weather tools said no wind. It was only in one small spot, like something walked past. No voices got recorded, but one mic caught what the sound guy later called fast breathing right behind them, even though no one was there. At 11:17, the main producer called a red alert, which starts, full evacuation. Red alert is the highest emergency level. At 11:17, they left non-important gear behind. Cameras got locked to keep recording while people paired up and headed to the vehicle meeting spot. The safety person led, with Josh in the middle to keep talk going as they left. Everyone had to say right away if they felt anything wrong, both out loud and on their body mics. As they moved, the lantern, still way too bright, seemed to point right at them. Lots of people later said the beam didn't come from a still object but followed them slowly along the edge. No camera showed the lantern turning. The lantern didn't move. The light just changed angle with no clear reason. At 11:19, all 3 main communication tools died at once. Radios went to white noise. Satellite phones lost signal with no warning, and for the first time ever on Expedition X, even the secret emergency beacon started giving error messages. Tech people wrote it as triple failure with no weather or energy reason. Sky was clear, air pressure normal, no big energy mess at that second. Josh ordered fast exit instead of slow walk. No one yelled in panic, but mics caught heart rates jumping. A low camera caught dirt moving next to them like something big was digging just under the surface. The movement went for about 12 seconds, then stopped when they hit the gravel road. At 11:21, one crew person got sudden chest tightness and trouble breathing. She got pulled from the line and taken to the closest vehicle. A medic said it was stress making her airways close, but thermal video showed a cold spot around her right before it started. Temp dropped 10 degrees in a person-sized area, but nothing was visible. Josh talked it into his recorder while still moving, saying, "Proof has gone past what we can handle. Full exit for crew safety. We need a big meeting right after." At 11:23 p.m., 3 vehicles left the SI's. Recording gear kept going alone until batteries died around 11:38.